We begin, though, with new information coming into the Situation Room right now in the presidential transition. Word that Barack Obama's team is looking at the finances of the former President Bill Clinton. It's part of the vetting process for his wife Hillary Clinton as a possible pick for Secretary of State. Let's get the latest from our White House correspondent, Ed Henry. He's in Chicago. Ed, what are you learning?
Well, Wolf, two Obama transition officials are confirming to CNN that they have at least begun the process of going through those records you're talking about in terms of the finances of the former president, how it relates to his charitable foundation, but also his presidential library in terms of donations coming in, whether they've come in from foreign governments, whether they've come in from international businessmen, to try to get an idea on how and whether there may be any potential conflicts of interest if Hillary Clinton is tapped to be Secretary of State. What's significant about this, it shows how serious of an option the Obama transition team here in Chicago is treating the possibility of Hillary Clinton being nominated by the president-elect to be Secretary of State. There are other potential nominees as well, but for them to go through these many layers of records and whatnot shows how serious they are, number one. And number two, Obama officials are trying to push back on a report that was on Politico.com earlier today suggesting that they're exasperated, was the word that was used, with the slow pace from the former president. Obama officials insist that, at least for now, they are getting the information as quickly as they think they should be, and they're not exasperated at all, Wolf.
When she ran for president, they divested themselves, I gather, a great personal cost of all of their blind trust so that that wouldn't exist. I mean, this is a vetted family, and I think that the fact that it is taking a couple of days for this all to sink in, for Hillary Clinton to talk to her husband who'd been out of the country, I think that people are sort of making too much out of the sense that there's something wrong here.
Terry, over the weekend, Henry Kissinger, the former Republican Secretary of State, he weighed in, thought it was a great idea. The number 2 Republican in the Senate, John Kyle, weighed in, thought it was a very good idea. Republicans, I think, seem to think Hillary Clinton, at least some of them, would be an excellent Secretary of State.
Well, if she's nominated, she's going to get confirmed. And I think on the surface, she is an excellent choice. Clearly, she has the skills. I think she could be an excellent Secretary of State. I think one of the issues about Bill Clinton, talking about Senator Clinton's financial disclosures, the Washington Post talked about on Saturday, Wolf, since he's been out of the White House, Bill Clinton has made millions of dollars in honoraria giving speeches. Many of these speeches have been overseas, including in Saudi Arabia and in the People's Republic of China. I think there will be an issue there, and that apparently it's one that the Obama people are looking at, that his international financial ties could be an issue.
But a lot of these former presidents have done exactly the same thing. Jimmy Carter,
That's right.
The first President Bush, when Gerald Ford was alive, he was giving speeches all over the world. What's wrong with doing that?
All of his income has been disclosed.
Well, it's true they have done that. I don't think they've done it to the extent that Bill Clinton has. And when we talked about going to the Persian Gulf at a time where there's two wars in that region of the world involving the United States, making money there, or going to the People's Republic of China and making money there, when clearly there are some conflicting interests between the United States and the PRC. It's an issue. She would be confirmed if he nominates, but it is an issue.
Everything has been disclosed, and there's been never any implication that somehow former President Clinton has been acting in contrary to American interests in anything he's done.
Diplomat has put Bill Clinton under scrutiny. Barack Obama's strict ethics rules could conflict with President Clinton's globetrotting, high-priced speeches abroad in places like China and Saudi Arabia, and his undisclosed overseas fundraising for both his global charitable foundation and presidential library.
He's very active abroad, and that's something that has to be looked at, and it has to be dealt with. And
right.
it's certainly a legitimate concern, and I think they're working hard to try to get that done.
The former president's business dealings could undermine his wife's ability to conduct foreign policy. The New York Times suggested that Clinton was involved in helping a Canadian donor to his foundation secure a mining deal with the authoritarian government of Kazakhstan. A Clinton spokesman said President Clinton has no personal financial interest in the work of his foundation, nor has he received any personal compensation from this donor or his business dealings. The upside of both Clintons on the world stage: President Clinton's foundation efforts are admired, and both Clintons are hugely popular around the world.
Hillary Clinton would bring a lot to the table, and she would be probably more powerful than most secretaries of state.
Just a short while ago, Ed Henry reported 2 Obama transition officials didn't say how fast this financial information is being turned over, but they shot down a report by Politico suggesting that transition officials are annoyed by the slow cooperation from the Clintons. One official said that that's just not true.
This train seems to be leaving the station pretty quickly. We'll see what happens,
Yes.
Zane. Thank you for that.
Well, Hillary Clinton as Barack Obama's Secretary of State, that decision on whether she gets the job could hinge on one factor, Bill Clinton. The Obama transition team is vetting not only the New York senator, but the former president as well, focusing primarily on his financial and post-presidential dealings. CNN's Ed Henry joins us now from Chicago. So, Ed, what do you know right now? Break some news.
Well, Kira, we're waiting for the word, obviously. Everyone wants to know who the Secretary of State will be. There are some other prominent cabinet posts as well. But this one, obviously, a lot of attention on it because of Senator Clinton's name being attached to it, and now the former president as well. And as you noted, that is what we know at this hour, which is that Obama transition officials are going through as much information as they have right now on the former president, and they've been seeking more records as well to get a handle on just kind of what kind of contributions have been coming in to his charitable foundation, to his presidential library, to get a better handle on whether or not there may be some potential conflicts of interest. For example, just this past weekend, the former president was in Kuwait giving a speech, receiving a large sum of money. They want to get an idea whether that kind of activity could then conflict with Senator Clinton serving as Secretary of State. But I want to stress that, you know, a lot of people in Obama's inner circle point out that they believe that there is a lot of good work that the former president has done with his charitable foundation. They don't want anyone thinking that there's something nefarious going on. They think that, for example, his battles against HIV/AIDS in Africa has been quite good and has helped save a lot of lives. They just want to try to get as much as possible on the table now so they can deal with potential conflicts down the road, Kira.
Well, Ed Henry, what do you know about the information that Bill Clinton is disclosing about his foundation?
Well, there has been some information disclosed in terms of his speaking engagements and whatnot through Senator Clinton's financial disclosure forms with the United States Senate. But there's been very little disclosed in terms of the donors that have gone into his foundation and the donors that have gone in to help fund his presidential library in Little Rock. During the presidential campaign, there was some resistance to disclosing that, but Senator Clinton said at the time that if she won the Democratic nomination, she would actually disclose a lot of that information. She obviously did not win the nomination, but since she potentially could get the nomination to Secretary of State, we're expecting at least some of that information now to at least be disclosed first to the Obama transition team and then potentially to the public here.
Follow the story with you, Ed Henry. Thank you so much.